course I'm sure.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
If you start getting frightened of it, then you make it worse, because you project onto it all kinds of bogies and threats which don't exist in it at all. Whenever you meet a ghost, don't run away, because the ghost will capture the substance of your fear.
We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.
Greetings, sleepers. Let us begin with Fearless 1, Origin of Blood. Before the families were divided, the bloodlines were won and finished with Ludlow Massacre. The Rockefeller's mining war, or shall we say massacre, was one of the deadliest labor conflicts in American history, a violent clash between striking coal miners and powerful industrial forces. This video explores the events leading up to the attack and how the story slowly faded from public memory.
Before the names you recognize, before Rothschild, DuPont, Medici, or Orsini, there was a single point where the lines were not as divided: Troy. In the earliest chapters of L, Origin of the Blood, the structure is different for a reason. The book does not begin with separate families, separate empires, or isolated power systems. It begins at a time when the bloodlines were still unified, before the branching, before the fragmentation, before the identities you know today were formed. Back then, there were fewer separate families. Around the time of the Trojan War, roughly 1050 BC as outlined in the text, the world looked very different. The major bloodlines that would later become ruling families across Europe, Asia, and beyond were still operating within the same interconnected structure. After the fall of Troy, everything changed. The descendants split. Not randomly, but strategically. Some moved into the European regions, some into the Germanic territories, some into the Mediterranean, Slavic, and Asian regions. And from these movements, the early framework of what would later become distinct ruling families began to take shape. These are not separate stories. They are the same story, split into multiple directions. From these branches, the lines that would later become the Merovingians, the Carolingians, and the European royal houses begin to form. The same bloodline, now divided geographically, culturally, and politically, but still connected as the Roman families are connected. This is why the book is structured the way it is. The early chapters move through history as a single continuous narrative because at that time, the bloodlines themselves had not yet separated into the distinct families you recognize today. Each family-specific chapter traces the genealogy back to this time, as stated, so as not to be repetitious. When you see the Rothschilds, DuPonts, Medici, Orsini, what you really see are later expressions of much older lines that trace back to the same origin point. The origin of the blood. Troy is not just a historical event in this context. It is a convergence point. A moment before division, a moment before the web expands. Understanding that changes everything, because it means these families were never truly separate. They were branches of the same structure, as are we all, from before Troy, to the formation of kingdoms, to the rise of banking and industry. It is one continuous line. Learn more in L, Origin of the Blood.
Up next is the Ludlow Massacre, the Rockefeller's mining war.
In the early 1900s, coal-powered America and the Rockefeller family owned the mines. Railroads ran on it, steel mills burned it, entire cities depended on it for heat and industry. Thousands of immigrant miners worked deep underground in Colorado for the Rockefellers' Colorado Fuel and Iron, extracting the fuel that powered the country. Conditions were brutal. The death rate among miners working for the company was more than double the national average. Explosions were common in the mines. In Los Animas County alone, 2 explosions killed 75 miners in one blast and 56 in another. Mine collapses and accidents were frequent, and the dangers of the work were simply accepted as the cost of doing business. But the danger didn't end in the mines. Workers lived in company towns completely controlled by the corporation. The company owned the houses, the stores, and even controlled what people were allowed to read. Literature considered politically dangerous was banned. Sanitation was poor, and disease spread easily through the crowded camps. In a single year, 151 people in the company towns died from typhoid fever. By 1913, tensions had reached a breaking point. Miners organized a strike demanding safer working conditions, fair wages, and basic rights. When the strike began, thousands of workers and their families were evicted from company housing. With nowhere else to go, they built tent colonies along the hills of southern Colorado. Life in the camps was harsh. Families lived through cold nights, food shortages, and constant surveillance by armed guards. The company responded with overwhelming force. Private detectives were hired to infiltrate the strike movement. Local sheriffs and armed guards surrounded the camps. Colorado Fuel and Iron even built an armored vehicle mounted with machine guns that patrolled the area. The strike zone began to resemble a battlefield. Soon, the Colorado National Guard was deployed to the region, backed by company guards and local authorities. Soldiers positioned themselves on the hills surrounding the tent colonies, while tensions escalated day by day. Then came April 20th, 1914. Troops positioned artillery on a hill overlooking the Ludlow tent colony, where hundreds of miners and their families were living. Gunfire erupted across the camp. Tents were riddled with bullets as soldiers and guards moved through the settlement. Families ran for cover as gunfire echoed through the colony. A 12-year-old boy fleeing the camp was shot in the head. By the end of the day, the colony was burning. When the fires finally died down, rescuers discovered a cellar beneath one of the tents where families had tried to hide from the gunfire. Inside were the bodies of 11 children and 2 women, suffocated by smoke as the camp burned above them. The attack became known as the Ludlow Massacre, one of the most violent labor conflicts in American history. The Ludlow Massacre shocked the nation. Public outrage turned toward the Rockefeller empire, but the family responded quickly, hiring new public relations advisors to repair their reputation. Over time, the outrage faded. The Rockefeller empire continued expanding, untouched, and one of the most violent labor conflicts in American history slowly disappeared from public memory. But not from L, Origin of the Blood. Learn more about this and other events that have shaped your world.
Remember, an idea cannot be killed. We are Legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.
Greetings, world. We are Legion. Unite as one. Anonymous. Expect us.